is, man.
You know that Tar Heel thing, maybe we'll get somewhere. Tar Heel thing.
So first, when I was asked to give this speech, I was going to talk about a wonderful but often talked about event within our church, Wilderness Trail, Matthew. But some people in St. Louis had other plans. If you have no idea what I might be talking about, or just hadn't thought of St. Louis in a really long time, raise your hand. Yeah, me neither. But no, seriously, I was going to talk about my unique and fantastic trail group that I had this year, like a lot of people. But Pancake Day really just made it to where I couldn't do that. I've been working all day at Pancake Day. I even skipped a class. But after 4 years of working in the dishwashing department, I finally graduated to where I was cooking pancakes in the to-go room. So yeah, it was a big deal this year. After serving a big group of people, I went to the bathroom and I was reading the writings on the stall. You've seen what that is. And I saw the listening and love conversations that I'd seen a lot of times before. Although this time I read the date at the bottom, and I quickly realized that today would be the day, or Pancake Day would have been the day, when the General Conference, which is a big meeting of the whole church, would decide in St. Louis what the church's stance would be on gay marriage as a whole, and decide where ministers could perform unions of same-sex couples. Yeah, that got serious quick, but allow me to give you some context as to why this matters to me and more about who I am. Well, I'm not gay myself. Many of the people that I know and that are close to me are. When I was less than a year old, my parents decided that they would get divorced, and so I grew up in two separate homes, one in Waynesville with my dad, and then one in Asheville with my mom. And after a while, they both found people that they loved and cared about. And over here in Waynesville, that was Melissa, who you'll hear me call Sweetie Pie, because this is what I've called her since I was 2. Aw, that's cute, I know. But then my mom met Susie, and they got married in 2005, and officially after the Supreme Court's ruling. Most of my life, I didn't really understand the big deal people made about gay marriage. I just kind of saw how much my mom and Susie loved each other, and that was more than enough for me. But as I've grown older, I've come to realize the definitively real feelings people have about people in the LGBTQIA community and gay marriage as a whole. Now, as you either knew before, if you really got up here and spoke, or have more than likely guessed, the General Conference didn't decide as I hoped they would. In fact, decided homosexuality was against Christian teaching, which made me feel a little torn. I knew that the church I attended and knew wasn't like that. I knew that the love that the church had shown me and others didn't reflect that. So I went and sat down and ate dinner with Mom and Susie later that week, and they'd both grown up in the Methodist Church, and they were both really calm about it, which really surprised me, because I thought that they would be hurt, and to a certain extent they were, but ultimately they knew that they believed in the unity and the progression in the church. And in some churches that's going to be faster than others, but nevertheless to them that was inevitable. They're incredibly calm and knew that one day the Methodist Church would decide and do as it says in Philippians chapter 2 and complete God's love and joy by being of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and being of one mind. We decide as a generation and as part of the church when at large that's completed. Much like the listening and love conversations we've had, and just continue to engage with others in the tough conversations, whether they agree or disagree with us. And the most important piece in all this is that we remain united as a church. We must remain the hands and feet of God for those around us and among us. This should come easy for us because on the very day that the church voted for exclusion, we are having our biggest day of inclusion of the year. Thousands of people line up and talk at tables where you might know everyone or alternatively no one. Everyone is served and comes together around a universal love, which is food in that case, but we can surely come around a table for God's love too. There's another story that reminds me of this predicament we're faced with. It's the story of the Good Samaritan. I'm sure you've heard it, where a law expert asked Jesus, he says, after Jesus says, you must love your neighbor, he asks, okay, well, who is my neighbor? And Jesus simply says, he gives the story of the Good Samaritan who was beaten and robbed and left on the side of the road. And, the man is Jewish, and a bunch of his Jewish compatriots walk by and leave him there. The Jewish priest walks by and leaves him there because that would be deemed unclean. But then someone completely separate from him who disagrees with everything that he does, and that would be like the modern day equivalent of someone who's in ISIS, basically, comes and helps him and gets him off the side of the road and helps him. And this really shocks me when I hear this story, but in another way it makes total sense. There's probably people in this very room who are wholeheartedly behind the decision of the General Conference and the reasoning behind it, and that's perfectly fine. We all have a place here, and while our denomination as a whole may have made an interesting decision in St. Louis to me, First Methodist I know is one who only knows neighbors and only knows inclusion. It's the one that, as Keith said in his sermon after the decision was made, will never leave you in the rain. No matter if you see my mom's love as a cardinal sin or as a completely natural and meaningful part of humanity, I will always love you, she will always love you, and God will always love you. So if you want to pray with me. God, thank you so much for bringing us all here together in this church and what it means to all of us. Thank you for allowing us to be part of our community and helping others in so many different ways. Thank you so much for this youth group and what it means to all of us and for all the people in this room. Thank you for your love and the amount of love that we can show to others. Please be with us after this decision was made and whatever the final verdict may be. But thank you so much, and amen.
Amen.